Several years ago, the Lord started to speak to me, and in fact, I looked back at my journal to make sure it was at the end of 2008, where God said, "I'm going to start to move in this nation, and I'm going to start to cause there to be a move within the states." In fact, what the Lord wrote to me, because it was when they were starting to bail out, different companies, and God said, "There's going to be an offer to bail out states, and it's going to cause there to be a battle for states' rights that will be greater than that of the Civil War, but it won't be fought on the battlefield, it'll be fought in the courts. And as a result of that, it's going to change issues that are issues for family and for life and for health care." And I'm reading this and I'm saying, "God, how are you going to do this?" At the same time, I was in the state of Texas, and I was in meetings, and it was during March Madness, during basketball season, and there was a dream that I had that night, and I had a dream in my room, and the state of Michigan was playing basketball against another university in my dream, and Michigan won 5-4, and I woke up and a voice spoke to me and said, "There's going to be a court case out of Michigan, and as a result of a court case out of Michigan, this Texas state legislature is going to outlaw abortion." That happened to me 5 years ago, and God started talking to me about this issue of abortion. And I know that there's been people that have prayed for abortion to end in our land. And there's been people that have interceded for years, and there's people that have legislated for that and petitioned for that and lobbied for that. Here's what I want to tell you. What do you do when you see something that looks hopeless in the land? Do you go out and protest, or do you see with hope what God wants to do? When you see something that's unjust in the land, do you go out and do you curse it, or do you see what God wants you to do and release what God wants to do? I said, "Lord, what do I do with this?" He goes, "I won't want you to do anything until you go to Michigan." He said, within a year, you're going to be in Michigan. And so I was invited that next year to go to Michigan, and I shared it with a group of people that I was with. In that meeting, there was a state coordinator of prayer for Michigan, and he got so excited, he said, "I'm going to the State House next week for a meeting. I'm going to share this, and we're going to pray into this." They began to pray into it. They began to ask the Lord to cause this thing to shift. At the same time, the Lord started to reconnect me with just people in Texas, and I went there, and the Lord spoke to me, and he said, "You know, the reason for abortion in the land isn't because of bad people. It's because of a spirit of orphan over the country. And God, I want to remove an orphan spirit, and I want to release a spirit of fathers and mothers over the country. And when that happens, there's going to be a spirit of adoption that's going to be released over the nation." And so I went to Texas, and I said, this is going to be moved from the state that's a state of abortion to a state of adoption, where churches are going to raise up adoption centers. Churches are going to raise up foster care groups, and you're going to wholesale adopt children. What are we doing? We're seeing from the perspective of God, because when God sees a problem, he doesn't say, "This place is a mess." He says, "Let there be light." He doesn't say, "Man, there's really chaos here. There's emptiness and there's darkness." He says, "Let there be light." It doesn't take a prophet to identify a problem. It takes a prophet to release the potential. And I believe that that's what God's raising up. God didn't say, "This place is chaos. This place is darkness. This place is emptiness." He said, "Let there be light." And people of hope don't identify the problem. They look inside, they see the potential, and they release the potential in the situation. And I don't see a problem with our nation. I see potential. I see hope, because I believe a day is coming when not only will abortion be outlawed by law, but it'll change the heart of people, where it'll be like slavery once was in this country, and people will say, "Why did we ever do something like that?" And I want to tell you, it wasn't the prophets, it wasn't the normal prophets you would think that did it. It wasn't the legislatures that did it. It was a little pastor's daughter from Connecticut who wrote a book called Uncle Tom's Cabin, who Abraham Lincoln said to her, "Aren't you the woman who launched this great war, who changed the heart of a nation, who looked at slavery in a different way?" And I believe that God's going to raise up prophets of hope. I saw, even coming out of this area and out of California, I saw a movie that would be like the Uncle Tom's Cabin for the issue of abortion. And someone's going to write a story, and someone's going to make it a movie that's going to change the hearts of people, because it's not about the legislation, it's about the hearts of people. And you can't change the hearts of people if you don't have hope. You can't pass on hope if you don't have hope. God wants to give you hope, and he wants to make you the solution. Why don't you be the house of adoption in your region, in your nation? It's one issue that God's given, but there's so many issues that God wants to give us his